All right, good morning, everybody. Another Courtside Chat, the Missouri Valley Conference Courtside Chat with Harry Schroeder and Mike Kern. Harry is your host, and I'll introduce some of our participants today. Mike Reis of Southern Illinois and Wyatt Wheeler, the news leader in Springfield, Missouri. Mike, you've been there forever. We had Dave Snell on last week, and you had cohorts in terms of the veterans of the radio corps here in our league. Talk a little bit about how you started at SIU and your career in general.
Well, I graduated from here in 1978. I got the job doing the games 2 days later after graduation. And so I was very lucky to have the job and very unprepared at 22, but I fit the bill at that time. The station had done the games, but not seriously. And I was already there. The person who had hung on hoping that the station would start doing the games quit out of frustration that he wasn't going to do the games. And then like 2 weeks later, the station decided to do the games, and there I was, and I was cheap. And so it started from there, and 5 became 10, which became 15. Now all of a sudden, it's 44 years. And so it's been a great run. We've always treated the game seriously in terms of trying to be better than the market. By that, I mean providing the resources to put out a better product than you might assume comes from Southern Illinois or comes from a small market. And so for me, it's been a great run.
Yeah, thanks, Mike. And your listeners will attest to this. You're one of the best, absolutely one of the best.
Thank you.
I'll let Harry ask you a little later about your broadcast family tree, but we'll turn it over to Wyatt Wheeler, Springfield news leader, beat writer for the Missouri State Bears. Wyatt, how did you get started in the business? And tell us a little bit about yourself.
You know, I had a journalism class in high school that I really enjoyed. I knew that's what I wanted to do. I did 2 years at Northern Illinois to start out my college career, and it was way too cold for me. So I decided to look around, and my brother was looking at colleges at the same time and had family down in Southwest Missouri, and ended up having some connections at Missouri State, so ended up going there. And then I got involved in the school paper immediately, and kind of worked my way up from there to where I was hired as a full-time reporter before I graduated from school. Had to do the full-time student, full-time reporter thing between school and the paper. A lot of classes did not go well during that little span to where we had to find some breaks, but have loved it, and been doing this for full time for 6+ years now, and haven't got sick of it yet.
Just think in 36 years, you can be just like Mike Reis.
That's not a bad thing. I like Mike. Mike does a great job. So, I mean, there's worse things I can be. I could be Harry.
That's true. That would be far worse. There's no doubt.
Love you, buddy.
Well, you do a great job down there, and I hadn't realized it has been 6+ already. And your profession obviously has changed. The print profession has changed, and you've embraced that and handled that very well. And we'll turn it over to Harry. He's going to get some information about you and your programs that we haven't touched on yet. Let's go, Harry Schroeder.
Yeah, I appreciate it, Mike. Good morning, guys. Mike, I did want to ask you about just those friends of yours throughout the valley, some of those broadcasters. You guys have a very unique kind of fraternity that has lasted a long time, and talk about that a little bit, and then we're going to morph over, and I'm going to ask Wyatt to give us the latest on Art Hains. It's always comes up every week in these broadcasts and in these podcasts. And so, but first, Mike, just some of the guys that you've got to hang out with and work near over the last 4 decades.
Well, Art is certainly one of them, and he is toward the top of the list. And I want to use this opportunity to thank Wyatt publicly for, I don't know how to put it, being a good friend and being loyal to Art at a time where it's work to be loyal and be a good friend to him. I mean, and he needs all of that in prayers and all the things, but prayers and donating to his fund are quote unquote easy compared to going to Lincoln to see him, and to do the other things that I'm sure he is doing to communicate with his family. And so for those of us who think we know Art really well, and for myself who considers him a good friend, Wyatt, I appreciate you for doing that. I know that means the world to him. He doesn't often say it. I think he says that sort of stuff now more than he did earlier in his career, but we all do. And so that is much appreciated. Dave Snell is my best friend in the business, and Art is right there too. Dick Lutke stepped aside. Maybe old people congregate. I don't know. I feel like we're at a fast food restaurant drinking coffee, all retired. Maybe that's what we, do, and tell everybody how to run the world and stay off our grass. But I think those are the people that I'm closest with. I like the younger guys in the league, Jevin Redmond, Luke Martin. They're the ones that I know the best at Evansville and at Indiana State. They really work their tails off, and that's what you have to do in this business. You have to you make yourself available. You have to work. That's how you impress people. That's how you work to make contacts, is by impressing people. So those are the people, Harry, that I cling to most in the league.
And Wyatt, maybe people outside Springfield don't know this. You not only write there, but you've been hosting a show with Art in the afternoons there on the sports radio station, and you guys are really close. And like Mike, I want to just thank you for also being a conduit to the rest of us, giving us updates and those kinds of things. But what can you tell us first about just the latest with Art? I know you were there maybe a week or so ago.
Yeah, I went the previous 2 Tuesdays. And I mean, it's not the worst drive from Springfield to Lincoln. Kind of got to know that during that. Had some times where we wanted to do it, and weather would get in the way, or different games and whatnot. But yeah, no, it was amazing to go see him and see the progress from one Tuesday to the next. Just being able to see that with the eyes, because you've been hearing about the small steps, and usually small steps don't give you the most gives you the most confidence, gives you the most hope, because it sounds so small, whether it's slight movements of the arms, or being able to feel pain in your leg, or being able to feel your leg at all. And then we were able to see that. I was able to see that firsthand, and know how big of a deal that is when right now he's really paralyzed. The arms aren't in full use, the hands aren't in full use, and the legs, he just started to regain some feeling. So being able to see it, and know how big of a deal how big that progress was very impactful. And I know the big thing right now is being able to get off the ventilator. He's off of it during the day, and they've tried it some different times to try to take him off at night. And he's had 5 bouts with pneumonia since this all started in September, October. So trying to make sure he's in a place where he doesn't need that anymore is the biggest thing right now before he gets his arms and legs back, because this is what's going to help him live. And people have walked out of that hospital before, just long recoveries, but we want him to breathe first. We want him to live first. And so recently he was moved from one hospital to another in Lincoln, to where this hospital is going to work to try to get him off of that ventilator at night. Now, Art, knowing the fighter that he is and how stubborn he can be, decided night one, hey, I don't want the ventilator at night. Let's try to accelerate this thing. And he made it the whole night. And threw off some blood levels and everything, and to where they're just like, all right, cold turkey probably wasn't the best idea. But they're going to continue to do hour by hour, figure out the best way to do it, because that's the biggest step right now, is to be able to get them off of that. So I mean, you're left a lot more hopeful after seeing him, and I hope that everything I've put out in recent weeks has given people a little more of that hope, because the one thing about visiting him, he's still there memory wise. He still has that sense of humor. He's still taking jabs at me as he would during the radio show. And he's still that best friend that I've gotten to know over the year and a half, 2 years of doing the show with him. So it's been very difficult on all of us here. But he's still in there, and to be able to hear "I love you" from him and tell him that you love him, when there was a few days after this all started where we were told that he wasn't going to make it for a week, through the week or through the whatever. And here we are approaching 5 months later, and we're having conversations with him. It's been a miracle. So thank you to everybody who's thought about him, donated to him, said kind things about him, because he's one of the best people in my life, and he's the best person in a lot of people's lives.
Absolutely. Love that update. I appreciate that. Hey, I also wanted to ask you, you guys are something of an odd couple, meaning
Yeah.
like I think of your radio show and I think of you guys interacting and I think Wyatt and Art. Tell me about that relationship, like its genesis and how it grew.
Well, I was approached. There was some new ownership coming to the radio station, and they asked me very early on if I would consider doing the show with Art Hains. And I mean, being around here, I'd done some spots on Art's show, but it's just like, man, that's Art's show. It's like I've been used to Art doing that by himself for 20 plus years. And they're like, "You really want me to do that?" And it's like, "Does Art want me to do that? Because I know what I am, and I know I could be a handful for him." And they're like, "No, he's been wanting to co-host for a while. We think the mixture of younger and older could be good." And it's just like, all right, but I knew it would be fun. I wasn't gonna pass down a chance to hang out with Art Hains for 2 hours a day. And I mean, that's literally what's going through my head. So I hopped on there, and we would go back and forth with some opinions, and we didn't always see eye to eye, and that made good radio. And just 2 years, he'd be one that I'd text out of nowhere, and
Thank you.
text throughout the day, and it just turned into a best friend to where I love him to death, and just kind of grew more and more throughout that. And the one thing that Art wasn't able to do while doing a solo show for 20 years, he had to be professional, straight man, reading a lot of press releases, doing a lot of just kind of talking throughout. And not everybody was able to see the personality side from him. He wasn't able to let that shine as much, when we know in here that Art Hains is a really funny personality, really fun personality. And that's what I felt like my best role was to help bring that out in him, when people need to see that. And I think we were able to do that this couple of years, and hopefully he can get back on that mic soon, because I know how much everybody misses him and are just sick of me.
Well, I don't know if they're sick of you, but certainly we do miss Art in all those different ways. Mike, you talked about young guys working hard, and Wyatt's one of the hardest working guys I know. Talk about just that part of your business, Mike. People think you show up at the game and turn on the mic and you have all kinds of relationships with people and you could just fly by the seat of your pants, but it is not like that, is it?
No, I did that at the start of my career. That's why I'm a little surprised that my career is still a career. It's one of the things that you learn. There's no substitute for work, Harry. I mean, I just don't think that there is. Some people like me take it too far, where it's your life, and so there are consequences to that. But you can still work hard and have a real life, but you have to work hard. And it doesn't just mean poring over stats. It means being around people. It means communicating with people, if for no other reason than for selfish reasons, because people hire people. And so you want contacts. And I think that works. But by being around people, including coaches and players, you learn more about the game. That's how I learned the game, because I didn't play. But by being around and being available and being at practices, people start to take a liking to you. And even if they don't like you, they respect you. And so you learn from them. And certainly at 22, I needed to learn that. And at 66, I still need to be part of that. And maybe even more so because of the age difference, obviously with the players, but now with the coaches. And so there's no substitute for hard work, and ends up showing up in your work.
Are there people, Mike, you like to listen to, meaning like other broadcasters, maybe you flip on, of course, TV and radio are so different, but are there people out there you go, wow, I really like how she does whatever?
Yeah, I think so. I also find myself muting more than I used to, but that's a personal thing, and I tend to listen very closely, Harry, and I hear things that I probably shouldn't hear, and those tend to frustrate me. I'm a Joe Buck fan. It seems like no one on social media is, but I think a lot of people are. I think among people who are contemporary, who are current, I like them more regionally. I think there's a lot to learn from John Rooney about surviving and about continuing to work. And he has gone through two different, what should we say? How the business is approached. It's more about being for the ball club now, being an employee of the ball club versus being an employee of the radio station. And so he's done that. Those are the ones that I tend to. Those are the ones I tend to. I listen to people who give me the impression that they have. I listen to and I respect the people that seem to have their own mind. And if you're broadcasting one team, you should be for that team, whether you say you're doing that team's games, and likely the only people listening to you are fans of that team, and fans of the team want you to be for their team. But I think they also want to be told the truth about their team. And it's one of the things that I really believe, and I think has been key. I think our broadcasts have been more fan oriented, and certainly they've been geared toward the fan than they've been to the ball club over the years, or the university for the years. That's had its moments. And so I respect people who can tell me what's going on without shading it either pro or con. Don't make the team out to be better than it really is. Don't make it out to be the worst team in Division I either, because it's neither. And those are the people who have a little bit of an independence about them, because I think that in the end, all we have is our credibility. Are we talking about the team in a way that's believable when people go and see the team? Are we giving the score, and are we giving the time? Those are the three most important things to me.
Super important. Wyatt, speaking your own mind, has cultivated into a what do you call it, a power ranking or something in the Valley. It's a little irreverent and some tongue in cheek, but talk to us about your power poll.
Oh, that's just for fun. I've noticed that a lot of Valley fans from around have enjoyed it, and nobody's safe from my wrath when it comes to poking fun at them or whatever it is. Murray State's going to get a lot of my kidding around. Evansville has surely been a lot of my jokes. But no, the cool thing that I've been able to do over my 6 years is grow that sort of following from around a league, and I hope I come off as I know I can be a little much sometimes with some of those, but I just want to have fun with people, and it's never going at them and trying to hurt feelings or anything, but I'm trying to have fun is how I approach my job every day. And that's just another fun thing that we're able to do. And whether there's jokes in there, whether that's echoing Brian Mullins saying that the Southern Illinois fans are better than the Murray State fans, or just some other little things in there. So I mean, I love that stuff. And if it gets under their skin and they know we're just saying it in good fun, I think that's great. And I throw those together pretty often now because there's a little more demand than in the past, and it's all for fun. I just there's some little bits, there's like bits in there that just kind of keep on going, and then you add in some other fun throughout, and it's fun. I really enjoy this league. I've been watching it my whole life. I was a ball boy for Dana Ford's teams and Osiris Eldridge's teams at Illinois State, so been around this my entire life, and to be able to laugh and have sort of friendships with people from all across the league, and through that poll, through other things I'll joke about, has been a really fun time for over my career.
I always feel bad for those people that are ranked below getting hit by a bus. I don't know. I just feel compassion for those people. Hey, we do want to talk a little bit about the programs. Talk about the Bears a little bit, Wyatt. They, every once in a while, I think they're going to be awesome, and then they'll stub their toe somewhere. Just talk to us about the Bears.
Yeah, it's been up and down throughout the season. They're a game above 500 right now. And some nights you feel like they're a better team than that, and some nights you feel like, yeah, that's about where they should be. But it's been, of course, you see the transfers and everything, all the newcomers in the program, whether it's the 12 new guys that they have on there right now, and trying to figure out that kind of that puzzle to try to make sure they're playing all the right guys to right number of minutes. And you feel like they're headed towards something to where they're going to be a little more settled. And at this point in the year, this is when you need to be figuring that out heading into February, trying to get towards the Arch Madness. And Missouri State's a team that could still be one of those top 4 teams in the league when we feel like that's going to be really important this year, getting one of those 4 buys so you could skip out on Thursday. So have been impressed with a few guys. Chance Moore's a good scorer when he's got the minutes to do so. Alston Mason showed a little bit the other day, just being a quick freshman or sophomore guard who can get into the lane. Jonathan Mogbo has been a good physical presence. Donovan Clay does a little bit of everything well. So they have some guys. It's just a matter of getting it all together, working hard defensively every game. They have one of the slowest tempos in the country right now, which keeps them in every game. And then it just comes to just being about finishing and scoring at the right time, scoring down to stretch, getting stops down to stretch. And they're capable. We've seen that they're capable. And you just need to see that more consistent when you look at the rest of their schedule. I think 6 of their 7 games are against some teams that are kind of up there as competitors for top 4 bids. And that's going to be the story of their season once they get down to stretch.
It's make or break time for lots of these teams. Mike, your Salukis are in first place and maybe the best team you've had there in a while. Talk about Southern Illinois.
Well, it is the best team, and they're doing things that they haven't done since 06 in the league, record-wise, 07 overall. And so this is the best team. Hinson had a team that won 22 in there. But this is the team that a lot was expected to start with. Mullins has set up his program as a veteran squad, including, if you're going to add transfers, be veteran. And so it didn't start as well as it is, as good as it is now, save for the Oklahoma State win. But they have grown, and where they've grown the most, where they're the best at, is game in and game out. You can count on them to defend, and 8 out of 10 games, you can count on them to finish the game well. And except for 1 or maybe 2 games, Southern Indiana and Evansville at home, Southern has played defense and closed games even when they can't throw it in the ocean from the beach. They haven't let their offense affect their defense. But those 2 games they did. And so I think that's really key. That didn't happen Mullins' first 3 years. And Damask and Jones lead the way. But all the time they get defensive play from everybody except for those 2 games. And as a consequence, whether the third scorer ever materializes doesn't always factor in a win. It helps if somebody will get the double figures. But it's first 1 to 60 with Southern, fellas. And if you say, Reis, that's a little optimistic, it's 55, I'm not going to argue with you there, but that's how he played. And you know, sometimes coaches get out of their realm. You have to coach how you coach. I mean, you can't try to be what you're not. And that's what Mullins was. That his teams were a little stronger as offensively as a player. But in fact, Wyatt made the comment about Mullins getting caught with trying to say his fans were better than Murray's fans. And the next thing you know, and Brian will go out of his way not to say anything. And but I caught him 2 games ago in a pregame show. I said, you know, your team does reflect you. I mean, the things that you were strongest at, defense and passing the ball, those are Southern strengths, fellas. And I was about to get to the 3-point shooting. And he jumps in and he says, hey, but I shot 40%. And these guys are like 30. So every once in a while he'll slip out of character, but his team fits him. That's and so he's coaching to his strength. And as a consequence, Southern has some wins, and interest in the club here is growing. And it's a fun stretch right now. And everybody wants Southern to be good at Arch Madness. It matters. It feels like it's been forever since Southern has been good at Arch Madness. So the crowds can be good. And it looks like Southern can be a factor in that this year.
Mike talked about Brian a little bit. Wyatt, tell us a little bit about Dana Ford. What's he like behind the screen? Sometimes when I talk to Dana, and I like him a lot and think he does a great job, he can be kind of matter of fact, but he's not just that guy, is he? He's a very deep thinking, kind man.
Well, it depends. Are we talking about Dana after a win or after a loss? But no, I've really enjoyed Dana over his 5 years. I mean, the other day he comes in after the UIC game, and it wasn't the prettiest of games to anyone's eyes, except for his, because they won, of course. But in that he's happy, matter of fact is a very good way to describe it. Gets down into the details of what went on, and after a loss, he'll be a little quiet, of course, but it's just seeing what he's done in the community, whether it's through his Rebound Foundation and getting kids involved, interacting with police throughout the summers, has been very hands-on. So kids have gone to Missouri State because they like that connection with him and like that basketball side of him as well. So I've really enjoyed time with Dana.
Brian, Mike was talking about Southern and being good at Arch Madness. The Bears haven't won Arch Madness in this millennium, and so are the fans? Is it kind of slow adopting or slow joining in terms of the fan base at Missouri State, or what's the fan base? What's the mood of the fan base in Springfield?
Yeah, it needs a pick me up. It's been since '99 since they've been to the tournament, and they go to the NIT last year, and it wasn't really good enough for them. They lose in Arch Madness for the second year in a row to Drake, kind of right before the buzzer in the semifinals. They have some potential in a lot of these teams, and you feel like last year when you have an Isaiah Mosley and a Gage Prim, that's 2 of your better players in program history, and you're still coming up short. So they need. The demands are pretty high right now. They want it to look good every night. They want it to look like a team that can go into Arch Madness and win. And get them back in the tournament. But it's a fan base that's in need of a little bit of a pick me up at the moment.
And Mike, you were mentioning the fans. I think you had 6,500 the other night when Murray was there. There's just some juice in Little Egypt right now, isn't there?
Yes, there is. And the games are fun. Southern does a really good job, and its donors do too, which I think is an under talked about deal. Reis, what did you bring up donors for? Because they're funding the dog pound. And it doesn't matter whether it's Missouri State or Southern or Drake, energy comes from students.
Mhm.
And so Southern's got 3 guys who are in charge of the dog pound. One is an alderman in a small town in our area, and he's a junior in school. So, obviously he can politic, and he's not afraid to sell. And they're not afraid to work, and they're into it, and the players like him. And so the dog pound has really taken off. It was a factor, but it wasn't as strong as, or it wasn't as much of a collective. We had student fans in the 2000s and the mid 90s. Winning attracts people, but now it's more organized. Even as long as school's in session and the team's playing, there are students there, and there are promotions geared to them, and they seem to be into it. They look forward to a post-game picture with the players. But those donors fund that, and money drives a lot. And so you have to have somebody to run it, and you got to have the funds to do it. It's really taken off. And of course, everybody would like to have a team that wins all the time and scores 80 points and wins by 20. But Southern's fans, they accept the grinded out type games. They did in the mid 2000s. In the mid 90s, the Salukis did score 90, but they gave up 80. But at that point, they won a lot of games. So it can be intense at Banterra Center, and it really is it's a fun atmosphere, even just to kind of sit back and look at. I thought when Wyatt said the Bears hadn't been there since '99 in the NCAA tournament, Southern hasn't done since 2007. But I remember a conversation I had with the great Hains, and he said, Saluki baseball has not been to the NCAA since 1990. Of course, Missouri State falls out of bed and goes to the NCAAs in baseball every year. So I said that to Hains one time at the conference tournament, and he went into his bring it up from the ankles voice of his, and he said, "Good God, man, 1990." He said, even the Bears have been to the basketball tournament since 1990. I just can't, Wyatt, I don't know how you do it, because the other guys, everybody else on the air in the Ozarks has to have a voice that comes from the ankles. Ned Reynolds makes Hains sound like he's a soprano. And but I always remember, good God, man.
I can hear it. I can hear it when you say that. I can hear him say, "Good God, man." That's good.
Hey, before we let you 2 guys go, Wyatt, somebody's going to come to Springfield, Missouri for a basketball game. Where should they go to get something to eat or to tip their elbow with a adult beverage? Where should they go in Springfield, Missouri?
Ooh, people love Ebbets Field. That's right on campus. I've only been there once in my long time here, and I felt like they would yell at me more for admitting that on social media recently. I had cheese fries, so I mean, I'm a child when it comes to food, Harry. There's good burgers downtown, whether that be Black Sheep. I'm a big taco truck guy, but that's a little bit out of the way. It's called I Love Tacos, best place in Springfield. Don't do Mexican Villa. I'm telling you, you're going to see a ton of them when you drive throughout Springfield. Don't go to Mexican Villa. There's good places all around. There's Springfield Brewing Company. I'm just blanking. I wasn't ready for this, Harry. I got to sit down and think a lot of this time. I mean, you put me in a bad spot. I don't eat good food. I eat like a child, and it's just a bad question for me.
It seems like every time I've been a guest on that radio show, Art was at Macadoodles. What is a Macadoodles?
Oh, Macadoodles is that's where they sell the beer and wine. That's a liquor store.
Oh, okay. I didn't know what it was. It's like, it seems like every time I was on, well, we're here at Macadoodles.
And no long we don't do those anymore. They miss Art too much.
I gotcha.
They don't want me in there.
And Mike, what about you in Carbondale? Where are some places that people should frequent if they're down to see a game?
I go to Ebbets Field when I'm on. When I'm on with Art, it's always he's always seems to be at the Best Western Inn, the gateway to Route 66. Or
Oh, I spent a Christmas Eve with Art Hains at a hotel doing a live show, and it's just like, I never thought I'd be able to say, Art, I spent Christmas Eve in a hotel with you, buddy. And it's just like, yeah, that sounds weird. He's like, don't say that.
I pictured him sitting in the lobby doing the show with 6 people coming in out of a van, checking into the hotel, kids screaming.
Even worse, they stuck us in that little computer room. So I mean, it's like a 2x2 room where we're just sitting on top of each other. It's like, what are we doing? It was very strange.
Pizza in Carbondale is the king, and its genesis is that most of the students come from Chicago, so there was a demand for pizza, and the local places are always the best. We have a million pizza places in this town, but Quattro's, Pagliai's, Italian Village, those are the ones to go to. I hear that the cocktail places will be Tres Hombres. Buckwater Brew Works is relatively new on 13 coming in. Those would be the two that I would recommend for game prep.
Well, you two are just two of the very best. Love your work. I read Wyatt's and listen to Mike's, and just really appreciate what you guys do for your teams, your league, your communities, and you're huge assets to our league, that I'm a kind of a fringe part of. And we look forward to Arch Madness. I know Mike's going to talk about that, but Wyatt, you alluded to it. Getting in that top 4 is majorly important for the Missouri Valley teams this year. We've always thought about not being in the bottom 4. Now it's mandatory to be in the top 4. There's something to really pursue for those top teams. Mike, your team is in good shape at this point for that, but that's critical right now.
What's it going to take? 13? I heard somebody say that the other day. 13 and 4. I mean, that, or 13 and 5. I'm sorry, 13 and 7. I can remember Southern's record in '94, but I can't remember how many games in the turn in the league. But the 13 and 7 will get you guarantee that you'll avoid Thursday. And so I would say that probably 14 you'd have to get to be in the top 4. I would think it'd be critical. Yes.
I think it's going to be wild because so many of the teams are going to be really good and be playing on Thursday instead of what we've kind of formerly thought before. Mike, tell us about tickets and different things going on with the league. But before you do that, Mike, Wyatt, thanks so much. We really appreciate you guys.
My pleasure. Thank you.
I got a couple of takeaways before we start hitting the tournament. So I would like to see Mike come out with a power poll similar to Wyatt's. That would be fun. And Wyatt, I think you've lost a donor on the radio show. It's gone. So that starts March 2nd. We go Thursday through Sunday. As we talked about, we're at 12 teams now. So we have 4 games on Thursday, 4 games on Friday. And the top 4 teams, of course, get a bye into Friday. So that's also crucial. 2 programs have a chance to win it all. Both of you are in good shape in terms of the way you play defense. Southern has retooled since last year, and Missouri State has rebuilt. But I think we've got an exciting tournament with a lot of teams in a position to win it. But again, Wyatt, Mike, Harry, thank you very much. And we'll have another episode next week. Appreciate it.
Thanks, all.
Thanks,
guys.
Mike. Thanks, Wyatt. Thanks, other Mike.
Wyatt, thanks for all you do for Art.
Thank you for, I've noticed you sharing that. Thank you.
All right, man.
See you guys soon.
See you guys.
See you guys.